Hello everyone and welcome back to the Knitting Fever YouTube channel. My name is Solveig Hanson and I am a knitwear designer from Vancouver Island in Canada, and today I am going to be reviewing the Herriot line of yarns from Juniper Moon Farm. I've been knitting for over 20 years and Juniper Moon Farm has been one of my all-time favorite brands of yarn to work with, and the Herriot line definitely ranks in my top 3. So let's get into it. The Herriot line was named after the Scottish veterinarian James Herriot, and if you've seen the show All Creatures Great and Small, you'll know who I'm talking about. There are 3 different yarns in the Herriot line, all of them slightly different weights and compositions. So I'm going to go through all 3 today, and then I'll talk a little bit about how I like to use these yarns and what I think they're best for. The first yarn in this line is the classic Herriot yarn. It is a number 3 weight yarn, so it's about a light worsted, and it's made out of 100% baby alpaca. Contrary to the name, baby alpaca is actually a fiber that is taken from adult alpacas, but it is called baby because it is the softest fiber that you can get from those animals. Each skein of the Herriot yarn is 100 grams and it works up to be about 219 yards or 200 meters. If you're knitting with this on its own, they suggest using a 3.75 to 4.5 millimeter hook or needle. I actually knit up this swatch last night. This is the classic Herriot yarn on 3.5 millimeter needles. I absolutely love these colors together and I think it's such a beautiful fabric. I'm so excited to turn this into an oversized sweater for myself. These are the colors that I used for that swatch. I think they go so well together, and I'll let you know what these colors are. The bottom one here, this beautiful maroon, is color number 1084. The blue in the middle is color number 1087, and the green at the top is number 1066. The second yarn in this line is Herriot Great, which unfortunately I don't have a skein of with me today, but it is a number 4 to 5 weight yarn, so that makes it a classic worsted weight yarn, whereas this is just the Herriot yarn and this is a light worsted. Both the Herriot and the Herriot Great are made out of 100% baby alpaca, so they have the same soft feel to each of them, but if you're looking for a project that knits up quickly, then Herriot Great might be the perfect option for you. The third yarn in the Herriot line is Herriot Fine. This is a lace weight yarn, and unlike Herriot and Herriot Great, Herriot Fine is 75% baby alpaca and 25% nylon, which gives it some added strength to quite a delicate yarn. This is Herriot and Herriot Fine next to each other. Herriot Fine is here on my left-hand side, and this is the Herriot weight yarn. And because I know you're gonna ask about the colors of all of these yarns, let me tell you, this beautiful rose is color number 1086. Green, which I already mentioned, is one of my favorites, 1066. This lovely mustard is 1089. And this brown is 1090. All of these yarns that I've mentioned are the Herriot yarn, and this gorgeous turquoise color is Herriot Fine in color 2067. Because all of these yarns are made out of alpaca, the garments that you make with them have a gorgeous drape to them. So I would reach for these yarns if I were making a scarf or a shawl, an oversized sweater, pretty well anything that you want to be a little more flowy and elegant. These are great options for. If you're looking for a yarn for a project that you want to hold its shape really well or be a little bit more stiff, then I would go for a wool over an alpaca like these. To underscore my point, I actually borrowed this scarf from my dad. I made it for him about 4 years ago using the Herriot yarn. This was knit in linen stitch on 3 millimeter needles, and as you can see, this scarf looks pretty much exactly the same as it did that I gave it to him. There's been no pilling, it hasn't stretched out at all. I have been so pleased with how this turned out. The reason why I picked Herriot for this scarf is because of how soft it is. I wanted something that felt very luxurious for my dad, but at the time I couldn't afford a cashmere yarn. So I picked the Herriot yarn and I have been so pleased with it. It still remains one of the softest yarns that I have ever worked with. And because of that, it is such a joy to knit with. It feels so soft on your needles and even softer when you're actually wearing the finished garment. So if you're looking for a more luxe option, something that's really soft, the Herriot line is a great pick. As well as if you're somebody like me who is a little bit more sensitive to itchy yarns up around your face and neck, this is a yarn that I would reach for, absolutely. The other reason why I picked the Herriot yarns for this scarf is because of how well it shows off the definition of the stitches that I was using, which makes this an awesome pick for cables as well as more complicated stitches. And the third reason why I picked the Herriot yarn for this project was because of the color options that they had. My dad loves blues and greens, and I knew this color would look so well on him. And I love that it is a primarily blue yarn, but it has these flecks of green in it. I don't know if you can see that. It's just so gorgeous. Another thing that I really love about these yarns as somebody who tends to prefer finer lace tip needles is that they don't split while I'm working with them. The last thing that I love about the Herriot line and about Juniper Moon yarns in general is how wide-ranging the colors are. I'm somebody that loves to do a lot of complex color work and vintage inspired patterns, and I often have a very specific color palette that I'm imagining in my head, and Juniper Moon Farm always pulls through with the best color selections. So that completes my review of the Herriot line of yarns from Juniper Moon Farm. I hope it answers some of the questions that you have, but if you're still thinking about whether this is the right pick for that project that you've been dreaming of, I hope you'll leave us a message in the comment section down below and we'll be happy to help you figure it out. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and happy knitting.